What it is, friends, what it ain't. What it ain't is a nice solid hot rod. But what it is time to fix that. So I was thinking that I wanted to finish that hood hole around those carburetors real nice today. But last time we started working on this 28 Model A and we took this cowl apart, I figured since a lot of you guys really like that we started this project, we'd continue with this today. We have some rot issues to take care of with that, and then we'll get it all back together into one piece. And we'll handle the rust where the two pieces come together so we don't have to worry about that becoming an issue like this. Found my favorite hat. My wife will be so happy. She loves this hat. She's probably the one that hit it. That's better. I rearranged these projects around because there's a lot of fabrication yet to do on our Chevy Love there, but there's even more to do on that Model A, and it takes up less room. With our mini truck project right in front of the workbenches, I wasn't really using them as, well, workbenches. We were always dragging out tables and fender stands. So now we can actually use this area over here. How do you figure we go about making patch panels for that cowl? I don't know, but we're about to figure it out. We're definitely no professionals around here, but that's what we do. We're regular guys in a regular garage, just figuring it out. Just cut it up and figure it out later. So they make this whole cowl piece here in reproduction. They make a lot of these body parts, but I can't afford any of them. They are not cheap. Even the original's in decent shape. So we'll be making them. Probably just cut the bottom of it off there and remake just that, because this is fine up here. We got a curve this way and we got a curve this way, and even though we're not going to be restoring this thing like perfect, we still don't want to have that compound curve on top here and just have it straighten out along the bottom. That would just look dumb. Even though we're only going to replace the bottom part, I want to take the whole thing off, because all these parts that originally bolted or riveted together, I'm going to want to coat the inside of those. Probably use POR 15 or some other rust encapsulator. That way it'll stop the rust and protect it from coming back where those joints come together, where we're not going to be able to get any primer or paint or whatever in there. We don't want to go through all the work of making these patch panels to just have it rust next to it in a stupid little seam. And when we're done, that seam ain't coming apart. But before we take old Yeller here, buzz those rivets down and take this apart, I think I want to make the patch panels first while this is all together. And even though there's not a whole lot left to it, at least we'll be closer to where we need to be. Could help with it warping in the wrong direction too, I guess. I got this figured out where I want it, but here's the thing. On the bottom edge, I would normally put a 90-degree break in that. But we're gonna be making a rocker panel that'll go the entire distance of the car. The bottom of our new patch panel here is gonna end up getting welded to that. We might end up putting a break here on the end though. We'll see. For right now, I'm gonna leave this long. We'll try to get that shape. So let's go to our super fancy English wheel. Just kidding, guys, we don't got anything cool like that. We don't even have a sandbag. This is 16 gauge, and that's pretty hefty. If I were to buy something for this, I'd probably get 18 gauge. I'm using this because it was free to me. We could just tack that thing on and kind of bend it and move it as we go, but here's my problem with that. Steel has a memory, so we want to get this panel as close to these curves as we can, so that way it's not fighting back, trying to go back to where it wants to go back to, and messing up our pristine body here. I'm not saying it needs to be perfect right on, just as close as we can get it. Then there'll be some hammering and dollying and manipulations. We're gonna end up putting that brake in it because that's really gonna hold the curves we put in this. We'll start by kind of tapping that over. We'll put it in the shrinker, and that should give us a 90-degree brake here, as well as adding a curve to it. So we got our 90-degree brake in here, but here's the problem. It's straight. Our panel needs to curve in at the bottom. This guy here is a shrinker. This guy, he's a stretcher. You can see the jaws in here. They pinch the metal and then they push it together. Mr. Stretcher pinches the metal, pulls it apart. Pretty neat, huh? Yeah, it looks great. Wife's out there putting up Christmas lights. 'Tis the season. This side's looking pretty good. I didn't weld it here though because I just didn't like it. This brake here from the factory is a lot sharper than ours. Ours is kind of rounded. I could spend some time on it with hammer, dolly, maybe one of these. Get in there and sharpen that brake up a little bit. I could do a bunch of tack welds all the way down that corner and then grind them into the shape that we want. But I think I'm gonna try something different. Plus, doing it this way doesn't require that shrinker if you ain't got one of those guys. And if this idea works out, we'll just cut the end off of this one and do it the same way. Maybe. I wonder if that's even close. I got an idea. We'll check on the cowl. It's looking about right. We're gonna make this a two-piece deal. We're gonna cut a 1-inch strip in that radius that we need. And we'll just weld that corner up to our patch panel that we're gonna make. Which, by the way, I'm gonna do that one different too. Instead of cutting it straight across, my thought is that if we cut it like this instead, that's gonna be easier to create and maintain our compound curve that we're after. Because this longer part along the bottom, we could bend like this. And this part here, we could bend like that. And then we're not fighting with all the material here, trying to get it to bend in two different directions. That's my thought anyway. And the reason I put a big radius in there is so we don't have a corner coming together where we weld it, it's gonna wanna pull in funny right there. And also create a spot where it might crack out in the future. And cracking out is bad. We don't wanna be cracking out. it's about right on. We should trace this one just in case we end up doing it on the other side. Now we can bend this piece into that shape. As simple as that. We're gonna double check this contour on the cowl. Yeah, all right guys. We had that right on the money. I don't like working on this side. Don't worry guys, I bolted the vise down. Fixed that too. I think that'll do. All right, I'm not gonna get any more ready. Let's cut that rod out. Where the heck did that gap come from? We'll be jumping gaps today. By the way, we'll be accepting the super thanks all day today. These dang things are expensive. Just like we do so often around here, we're just gonna do a tack, and we're gonna move a few inches away, do another tack, do that a few times, let it cool down, take our time. We don't want it to warp and move around too much. There's a giant dent here and a bullet hole here, but that stuff's cool. That stuff's character, because it's old, and we didn't do it. If we went crazy welding on this and it warped up into a big wadded mess, that's new, and we did it. No bueno. It's easy to make a small fortune building these hot rods. You just gotta start with a large one. I'll tell you guys right now, this is working out better than the last way we did it. So I'm definitely gonna cut the end off that one that we did the other day. Cut this little strip out of this and weld it on that like we're doing over here. That is just much better. Yes, sir. Just gonna continue welding this and then I'll do that. I think we got it. All right, we'll give that ugliness a little tickle with the die grinder. Then we'll address the rust where these two pieces go together. I'll tell you what, guys, I like the way that we just did that one way better than the way we did the first one. Seriously, much better. Now that we got those patch panels made, I want to put the two pieces of the cowl that we took apart, I want to put them back together. But we're going to have to address this rust first. We're going to use this Rust Encapsulator Plus from Eastwood. Encapsulates and stops rust. I'll put in the Amazon affiliate link down below. And if you need this stuff, you buy it from that link. A little bit will go to help the channel. And that would be really cool because we need stuff. We'll start by knocking the loose stuff off with a wire wheel. Got this cheap chip brush here. We're just gonna brush it on. But this could be sprayed, it could be brushed, it could be put on with a roller. Since we're just putting it on these edges, we're just gonna use the brush. I was unsure if I should be putting this over this fresh bare metal or not, so I had to look it up, and they say, yeah, go for it. Direct to metal or apply over rust. I actually wouldn't guess that this would stick to bare metal, but that's what it says, so we'll see. Stuff seems to go a long way too. I'm gonna end up coating the entire inside of this car with it. But for now, we're just worried about putting these two pieces together. I'm gonna grab this cowl and drag it outside. We'll brush that on over the grass. I went ahead and did the gas tank too, because that's got to get put together with all that as well. And I know from experience with this thing that gas tank isn't always easy to get in there the right way. We're not actually going to use it as a gas tank. We're going to end up cutting it apart and probably putting electronics and stuff in there. But we're going to leave it intact and use it to kind of keep everything where it's supposed to be as we're putting this dang thing together. This shirt made me look fat. Of course it wants to be a pain, but we knew this piece was all wavy and bent. We're gonna have to convince it to cooperate. This thing's being a turd. Why did I wear pants today? I live where I don't need pants. Just kidding, guys. You can't work in that hat. What's wrong with you? Well, that was a way bigger pain in the butt than it should have been. We got it all bolted together though, but we got some alignment issues. I think what we're gonna do is loosen all those bolts I just fought with. See if we can align that a little better. These things never aligned all that well from the factory, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. This is better. I got those 2 holes lined up on the firewall, and it moved that for sure. I think if we replace this one with this bolt, put this one on the other side, slide a bolt in this side, now if we run around it and tighten them up, starting probably here, that might pull this misaligned corner back. Out there mowing the lawn, wrecking my video. Pretty cool to think that this old pile of rust is coming back together. It's so much fun to build these. I don't necessarily like all the rules of building a traditional hot rod. I like to have fun being creative and coming up with some cool stuff. Some people will hate it, some people will love it. But as long as we had fun and we like it, that's all that matters. We're not building this thing to get anybody else's approval. All right, guys, tell me what you think in the comments. If you had a good time today, hit that like button. If you want to see how these 2 projects turn out, or you just like having fun in the garage, hit that subscribe button, come back, and hang out all the time. We're always having fun out here. And keep an eye on ltscustomgarage.com because we got some cool shirts on the way. Some good deals on my artwork, too. See you guys out there. I go and move one thing, next thing you know, I'm rearranging the whole garage.